today we've announced a series of significant actions we're going to be taking to eradicate the whole crisis of retail theft in our state. We saw it was successful with what we did on dealing with the rise in gun violence and shootings and murders successfully, and I want to harness that same power, the same resources, same talent in places like this Crime Analysis Center to help crack this, and to 1 year from now be able to stand here and say that working with our district attorneys and working with the retail council and working with our partners in all levels of government that we truly made a difference, because we are going to take back our stores starting today. Any questions?
Let's start with on topics while we have our leaders here. Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
Governor, are you at all concerned about the effectiveness of these initiatives, the trespass, affidavit, etc., if the defendant, suspect, just goes into a store, gets arrested, and then is released the next day, only to hit another store, or the same store, because they just don't care?
And I'll let the district attorney talk about the success of her strategy, which I think should be replicated. But the bottom line is we changed the laws, so you cannot go in and steal with impunity and do it again and again and again. We now have a standard called harm on harm, which stops repeat offenders from being able to be released without bail. And the recidivism rate since we enacted that change just last year has plummeted, and we're seeing success there. But I'll let the district attorney speak to the trespass initiative.
Sure. I mean, remember that this is all about different tools that we have in our tool shed, right? So we have the harm on harm, which the governor talked about. Last year, at least, since this law has been changed, we've asked for about 663 defendants to get bail and be held with bail. We are granted that request about 42% of the time in Queens County. But what the governor is talking about are several different types of tools, right? It's about the harm on harm that she passed 2 years ago. It's about the trespass affidavit, which, by the way, every time we get someone who returns, we vet them for mental health illness and drug disorders and all of that comes with that. We're also talking about going against and finding those that are selling stolen property online. We're talking about putting together all of the experts in the state of New York in one room so that we can use the information together and act as a team. So the more tools that we have in the toolbox, the better it is for the state of New York. And those that are continuing to come back, the trespass affidavit doesn't replace the idea of arresting someone for shoplifting or assaulting a retail worker. It's when you come back that affidavit is actually the most useful. Thank you.
All right, Juliet and then Darla.
Yeah, Governor, could you elaborate on what your analysis unit actually is going to do and what it contributes to helping crack down on retail theft? Is it large gangs, or is it going to be like the smaller local groups that are coming into the stores?
What we have found in dealing with the gun violence issue is that there's data points out there. And if you don't have an entity, a concerted effort to connect the dots of someone who may be stealing in Queens and they cross the border into the Bronx or Manhattan, who is tracking their behavior? Who is identifying from video cameras that suspect may no longer be in that jurisdiction, but they've now moved? So there's a lot, and I'll let the superintendent talk about exactly how that works, but it's also about limiting the number of dots out there. The fewer people who are doing this, we can narrow down the focus. If word is out that we are being aggressive in prosecuting, whether it's the large gangs, the international gangs that have come here, or whether it's just the street gangs that are figuring this is some way to bring in some extra money to buy guns, whatever the motivation is, we're going to get at it. And so there's not a one-size-fits-all, but this data sharing made all the difference in the world when it came to our ability to get more guns off the streets and more arrests and more prosecutions, and I expect to see the same results as a result of this effort, which has never been done before. This is a first. Again, the world is usually silos. You have NYPD and state police and district attorneys and U.S. attorneys all trying to deal with this in their own way, and I'm saying, no, we're bringing it all together in one place, just like we did to deal with gun violence. Superintendent, anything?
So, to address your question, whether it's larger gangs or smaller gangs, with regard to law enforcement and intel, we're certainly unrestricted. We wouldn't put ourselves in that limited capacity. As we get information, as we determine that information, we use our intel centers and we pass that information throughout the regions of the state. One area's friendly, maybe another area is foe. If you drive individuals out from one county to another, it's pertinent that we have that information, because when you look at the patch, it's the entirety of New York State. Counties with county enforcement, they do an earnest job. They do what they need to do, but my job at the state level is to bridge that gap between a county upstate and a county downstate that this individual may have a nexus. So what we do is the Intel Center, they essentially build the intel on a particular case, on a particular trend that is occurring. And we are essentially unrestricted in interacting with law enforcement, federal, state, and local, building that information, providing it to them. If it's a local PD upstate and there's some snatch and grabs, a similar trend, or if they come up on our radar, so to speak, that they're engaging in activity in Newburgh, we pass that information on. So this network, the idea is for it to be seamless. One-stop shop with a crime analysis center, and we maintain that information. So anytime they need to come to us, we're there to provide it.
Great. All right, Darla and then Melissa.
Good morning, Governor. How are you today?
Very good, thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank
by the
you.
way. I just want to go back to the Queens no trespass issue. What I find fascinating is I believe DA Katz, we were there when you all unveiled this initiative, and just talk to us about how that has influenced this new retail theft operation, and perhaps how it might be able to be modeled across the state, and just what has been done in Queens to influence this.
No, I admire the creativity that District Attorney Katz has brought to solving this problem. She represents a large number of small businesses, people who've come from around the world to live in the most diverse borough in our state, but also the most diverse place in the world. So a lot of people who came here, and she shares the same empathy that I do, that they put all their life savings and their hopes and their dreams into their little bodega or this little gift shop, and so to see them being victimized like this, it's something that we take so personally and seriously. And what she has done is found just one more tool, one more device that can be used to say, you're not coming here again. Or if you do, she talked about how she's bringing those people in and finding out if there's other challenges they may be having, so we can get them on a path to stop doing this again. But is there anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, if you're looking for some background, so this started in Southeast Queens, where the store owners were calling us, and they were saying, look, people are shoplifting. They get a DAT, they go down to the precinct, there's no warrants for their arrest, they're coming back afterwards, and they're either stealing again or harassing some of the folks in there. We have mothers who can't walk in with their babies, we have seniors that are scared to come in because people are hanging out there. And I wanted a way to make sure that there was a warning. If you come back, you're going to be arrested, and we're withdrawing your privilege to be on our retail site. And that does quite a few things. Number one, it allows the constituency and the residents of New York City, those hardworking individuals that just want to go out and shop, know that we are on it, that we are paying attention to it, that we understand that it's a problem, and that they should not have to live that way. It also gives the retail establishments, as the governor was saying, hardworking men and women who are trying to earn a living and put food on their table for their family without any danger or violence in their stores. It allows them to have a little more control on what's going on in their stores. Now, mind you, they have a right to withdraw someone's privilege to being there, period. But we're trying to give people a second chance when there's actually no crime that occurred. But don't make no mistake about it. This is not a replacement for arresting folks for shoplifting or for robbery or for grand larceny in the stores. Thank you.
Melissa?
I have an on-topic question for both DA Katz and for the governor. It has to do with shoplifting. It's the subject you're talking about. Last night, police told us that one of the migrants who was involved in the Times Square brawl and had been released was suspected of robbing a Macys in your borough, DA Katz. And this morning he was arrested. First, to DA Katz, will you be asking for higher bail, or what will you be doing to address this? And also, just both of you, please, your reaction to the fact that he's now charged with committing another crime after that Times Square situation?
I'll be happy to answer my opinion on that. I've said all along that I thought that bail should have been requested, given the severity of what they did. Attacking police officers in the city of New York will never be allowed, and we have to send a strong message. I had a chance to speak to the district attorney at the time, and we talked about it, and additional charges have been brought. And this individual, who I believe they thought had gone to California, was actually right here robbing a Macys. So that person, I understand, is being held on bail. And that is exactly the way the system is supposed to work. So let the message be out there that this is what happens when you break the law. There are consequences.
Governor, can I just follow up on that for one moment? Because Henry Brito, who was the main defendant in that Times Square case, the original person that got into the scuffle with the police officer, he was the only person in Manhattan who actually was held on bail. And yesterday we reported that he posted bail and was released. So if you believe that people who assault police officers shouldn't be out of jail, they should be in jail pending trial, then is there a problem with the state's bail laws as opposed to just the failure to ask for bail?
No, what you're talking about is an area that's entirely up to the discretion of the judge. The fact that we changed the bail laws gave the power to the district attorneys to request bail. Bail was granted. Certainly in any crime, someone has the opportunity to post bail unless they're remanded by the judge. And so let's look at where the challenge lies. This has nothing to do with a statewide law, because I can show you different data from upstate New York where the requests for bail have been granted, convictions are, arrests are up, convictions are up, crime is down. So this is what it comes down to, the discretion. And we've been talking to the Office of Court Administration about training our judges about what the new bail laws allow for, to be certain that they know that it has changed, that they have this power, and we expect them to use it.
So I will not opine on another DA's case, but I will tell you that Darwin Gomez Isquel was arrested this morning. I believe it was about 1:20 a.m. For robbery by the NYPD. We are still investigating the case, and that is all I can talk about at the moment because it's an ongoing investigation. The felony complaint has not been drafted yet. Thank you.
All right, let's move on.
Kathy, is there anything else you wanted to add about the business community's perspective on what we're doing here today? Is there any
Well,
comment?
the only thing I would say is that this is such an important initiative because while we've got murders and shootings down, which thankfully, the average New Yorker, their sense of the safety in the city, their confidence of their personal security really depends on solving this highly visible crime wave we've had really since the pandemic, and we thank you for doing this.
All right, we got time for maybe one off-topic question.
So let's talk about the shooting that happened on the subway in the Bronx. Obviously, it's of heightened interest across the city. You still have 2 suspects at large. Just give us your position on where this stands. I mean, you have so many innocent bystanders. This is obviously gun-related. You have so many innocent bystanders, and I'm just thinking, like, so much has been done, right, to get guns off the street, to deal with ghost guns, of that matter, even to deal with gangs, but these little small pockets of crews, like they're just kind of little microcosms that keep, like a whack-a-mole, that keep popping up all over the place. So, just speak to us, first of all, just about the incident, if you can weigh in on that. And then secondly, what other things are being considered or kind of being shaken around the can to still address that microcosm element that is really driving this gun violence?
No, as I said, as soon as this occurred, and I spoke to the mayor of New York, I spoke to Jano Lieber within minutes of this occurring, because our subways are the lifeline for so many people to get to their jobs and their schools and their everyday lives. And so when there's this insecurity related to this mode of transportation, this essential link for people, it starts to take an effect. And what we want to make sure people understand is that this was not a random act of violence. This was targeted. People knew each other. There was a visible dispute. There were cameras on the platform, which are going to help us in the identification of these individuals. I have been talking about cameras and how we're adding more cameras and by the end of next year, next year, we're going to have almost every subway train outfitted with at least 3 to 4 cameras inside the trains, which has been a major undertaking. But 2 years ago I said, we're going to get cameras so people know they're there, and whether you're intending to commit a crime, you'll know you'll be caught, or whether it's the people riding on the train will have this sense of security that it could be a deterrent. So I can talk about the reduction in gun violence all day long, but I will never say that we're done. And when an incident like that happens, it is discouraging because we're trying to rebuild the confidence that people should have. The subway is phenomenally safe. We have over 6 million people take it every single day, and the numbers are continuing to grow up. The more people take the subway, the safer it feels. We're making new enhancements. We have police officers working overtime. New York City Transit Police, I've talked to them about this. So we're laser focused on making sure that people feel safe and are safe. And an incident like this shakes that. I understand that. And we're even more committed to ensuring that this does not happen again.
Governor, one more. Could we just ask about your response to the results in Congressional District 3 last night, Swazi winning? And in what ways do you think, if you think, this might be a bellwether for other congressional races, or is it a different sort of situation because of the heavy Jewish population there and some of the local issues that affect New York, like the migrants here?
No, I think what the race was talking a great deal about was migrants. And that will have an effect on other races here in the state of New York. We have 6 battleground seats that we need to hold to flip, and to ensure that Hakeem Jeffries is the speaker. And why is that so important? Yes, I congratulated Tom Swazi. I've been working with him since the day I said, I support you running, because that was an important dynamic for him to be able to run. We made that happen. I have raised him money. I have given him resources. I have called him almost daily to shape and talk about what we need to do. And what he saw me do was to call out the Republicans in the state of New York for refusing to march down the hall to Speaker Johnson's office and say, we demand, 10 of us demand, that you pass the Senate bill, the bipartisan bill put together by conservative senators and Democrats and President Joe Biden, to be able to shut down the border during this crisis time, to bring more border protection and efforts to the border, to change the asylum standards from how loose they have become to actually make sure that they are meaningful like they are in other countries, and to send money to the state of New York. Their refusal to do that, I believe, played a role because Tom Swazi could point out the hypocrisy, the shocking hypocrisy of Republicans in our own state to do what they have the power to do, and they keep pointing fingers at everybody else. I have said they now own this problem. They broke the deal. They now own it. So this is what will be used against Republicans, certainly in our state, because I'll be involved in this. But this is a major victory. It wasn't even close. And the voters of that district said, we are not putting up with this. We see through it. We also support someone who stands strongly on reproductive rights. Abortion rights will continue to be a major issue, the differential between Democrats and Republicans. And so last night we saw the road ahead, and it is a clear road, a clear path to victory for Democrats to make sure we win the House of Representatives, because we need it. We get the House back, all of a sudden we have the resources, the support, and the ability to manage the migrant crisis.
Great, thanks
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you, Governor.
We're gonna exit this way.
I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, thank you, appreciate that. Thanks, everybody.